In the heart of Victorian London, where the Thames runs thick with human waste and the air itself seems to rot, a child scavenger will witness the birth of modern epidemiology, written in the bodies of 616 dead. This is the true story of the 1854 Broad Street cholera outbreak, told through the mud-stained hands of those the city forgot. If stories like this matter to you, histories pulled from the river's edge, consider supporting this channel. Now, let me tell you about the 10 days that drowned Southwark. The Thames at half tide smells like death has learned to ferment. I know this the way other children know their letters, through daily intimacy, through necessity. My name is Pip Ferris, though the register at St. Saviour's still reads Philippa, a name for a girl who might have had different choices. I'm 14 years old. I've been a mudlark for 6 of them. It's August 31st, 1854, and the river is wrong. I can't explain it properly. Not in words a physician would credit, not in the language of the gentlemen who write about London's poor as if we're a species distinct from human. But I know the Thames. I know its moods like a farmer knows weather, like a sailor knows wind. Each morning at 4:30, I wade into the retreating tide, bare feet sinking into silt that's part mud, part sewage, part the pulverized history of the city itself. I search for anything sellable. Bones for the glue factories, nails, rope fragments, coal chunks, the occasional copper penny dropped by someone who could afford to lose it. This morning, the mud is different. Thicker. The colors shifted from its usual grayish-brown to something greenish, like meat gone bad. The smell. Christ, the smell. It's always foul, but this is something else, sweeter. Rotted flowers mixed with privy overflow. I've got a strong stomach. You don't survive the foreshore without one, but I gag twice before I'm 20 feet from shore. Oi, Pip! That's Jacob Harrow, calling from the sewer outlet near Southwark Bridge. He's a tosher, scavenges in the tunnels beneath the city, which somehow makes mudlarking look respectable. Jacob's 61 but looks 80, bent like a question mark from crawling through brick passages 4 feet high. One eye's clouded over from infection, the other's sharp as broken glass. River's rank today, innit? I call back, wading toward a promising shadow that might be metal. Worse than the great stink of 48, Jacob says, and he should know. He works in London's bowels. Something's shifted. The tide's carrying wrong. I reach the shadow. It's a boot, rotted through, worthless. I leave it and move toward the north shore, where the current deposits better findings. My hands are already their permanent gray-brown, stained beyond any scrubbing. I wipe one on my trousers, oversized, men's, held up with rope, and keep searching. By 10 o'clock, the tide's turning, water creeping back up the foreshore, and I've got a decent haul. 3 nails, a length of rope, some coal, and, prize of the day, a clay pipe, barely chipped. I can sell that for a penny, maybe 2pence if the rag and bone man's drunk. I climb the waterman's stairs at Jacob's Island, where I live, and the stench follows me up. Jacob's Island isn't really an island. It's a slum clustered around stagnant ditches that were once tributaries of the Thames. Dickens wrote about it once, called it the filthiest place in London. He wasn't wrong. I live in a cellar at number 4, 3 families sharing 1 room, though live might be generous. We exist there. We sleep there when exhaustion wins. Mrs. Talbot from number 7 is outside, washing clothes in a bucket. She's 43, a widow since her husband died at Sevastopol last year, supports 3 children on laundry work. She's kind, in the way people who've known hunger are kind to others still starving. Sometimes she leaves me scraps, a half piece of bread and apple core, once a blanket. "Morning, Pip, love," she says, wringing out a sheet that will never come clean. "Good findings?" "Good enough." I show her the pipe. "You drinking from the Broad Street pump still?" It's an odd question, I realize as soon as I ask it, but something's nagging at me, like an itch beneath skin. "Course," she says. "It's the closest. Water's clearer than the local wells. Why do you ask?" I shrug. Just wondering, river smells wrong today? She laughs, but it's tired. River always smells wrong, pet. That's London for you. I want to say more. That it's not the usual wrong. That there's something else happening. But I don't have the words for it, and she's already back to her washing. Her daughter, Sarah, 9 years old, thin as a nail, is hanging clothes on a line strung between buildings. She waves at me. I wave back. Inside number 4's cellar, I count my earnings. The nails will fetch a halfpenny each, the coal another halfpenny, the rope may be the same. The pipe, if I'm lucky, tuppence. Total, 6pence, maybe 7. Enough for bread, a bit of cheese if I'm careful. Enough to survive another day. I sleep in the afternoon. Mudlarks work the tides, not the clock, and wake to voices shouting outside. It's early evening, September 1st now. The sky through the cellar's one window is that particular London gray that's more smoke than cloud. Something's happening. I climb the stairs, 8 steps, each one damp enough to grow things, and emerge onto the street. A crowd's gathered near number 7, Mrs. Talbot's house. I push through, small advantage, being child-sized even at 14, and see Mrs. Talbot on the ground. She's convulsing. Her daughter Sarah's screaming. Her eldest son, Tom, 16, is trying to hold his mother still, but she's thrashing like a fish on deck. "Get the doctor," someone shouts. "Which one? Fraser's 3 streets over." "Just get someone." I kneel beside Sarah, pull her back gently. She's sobbing, hiccuping, words coming in fragments. "Mum was fine. She was washing clothes." Then she said her stomach hurt. Mrs. Talbot vomits. It's watery, flecked with white, like rice has been mixed with water. The smell hits me, different from the Thames, but similar somehow. Organic. Wrong. A man arrives, Dr. Edwin Fraser, the local physician. He's well-dressed, expensive coat, pomaded hair, a handkerchief pressed to his nose against the stench of Jacob's Island's usual air. He kneels, takes Mrs. Talbot's pulse. "Cholera," he pronounces, and the crowd steps back like he's named the devil. Fraser's 52, treats wealthier patients mostly, but cholera doesn't respect class boundaries. It just kills the poor faster. He looks at Tom. "When did symptoms begin?" "An hour ago, sir. Maybe less." "She was fine at midday." Fraser nods. "The miasma. It rises from decaying matter, particularly in warm weather. Has there been refuse near your home?" Tom looks helpless. "Sir, we're at Jacob's Island. There's refuse everywhere." "Precisely. The foul air carries disease. You must burn sulfur in your home, keep windows closed after dark, avoid night vapors. I'll send word to the Board of Health, but there's little to be done now except pray the contaminated air disperses. I want to ask, if it's air, why did it only hit Mrs. Talbot? Why not Tom or Sarah or the neighbors? But Fraser's already standing, already leaving, handkerchief still pressed to his face like our poverty might be contagious. Mrs. Talbot dies at 6 o'clock, 6 hours from first symptom to death. I've seen death before. You can't live at Jacob's Island and avoid it, but never this fast, never this violent. Her skin turns blue-gray from dehydration, eyes sinking into her skull, body emptying itself until there's nothing left to empty. Sarah won't leave her mother's body? Tom finally pulls her away, carries her inside. I stand in the street, watching the shadows lengthen, and think about water. Mrs. Talbot drank from the Broad Street pump this morning. She told me so. The pump's a quarter mile from here, near Golden Square. Supposedly the best water in the area. Clearer than the local wells, people say. Tastes better. I think about the Thames this morning. The wrong color. The wrong smell. I think about the mud's consistency, thicker than usual, and how the tide carried things differently. I'm not educated. My mom taught me to read before she died of consumption 3 years back, but that's the extent of my schooling. I don't know Latin names for diseases or the theory of miasmas that Fraser mentioned, but I know patterns. You have to survive. Pattern 1, Mrs. Talbot drank from Broad Street pump. Pattern 2, Mrs. Talbot died of cholera. Pattern 3, the Thames, which feeds into London's water supply through 100 leaking pipes and cracked wells, smells like death today. I'm probably wrong. I'm a mudlark, not a physician. What do I know? But the river knows something. I'm certain of that. September 2nd begins with rain and with more deaths. By noon, 3 more houses on our street report cholera cases. By evening, 5 people are dead. They're all from Jacob's Island or nearby streets. They all drink from local pumps or wells. Fraser arrives again, this time with the local vicar, Reverend Henry Stokes. They're distributing pamphlets about miasma prevention, burn incense, avoid night air, dispose of refuse properly. I watch residents read them, the few who can read, and see the hope drain from their faces. These instructions require money we don't have, space we lack. Sarah Talbot finds me by the riverside that afternoon. I'm working despite the rain, because the tide doesn't care about weather, and neither does hunger. She's soaked through, shivering, crying quietly in the way children cry when they've learned it doesn't help. "Pip," she says, "I'm hungry." I've got a half loaf of bread in my coat pocket wrapped in cloth. I give her the whole thing. She tries to share it back. I refuse. "Your mom," I say carefully. "She was good to me. I can't help much, Sarah, but I can do this." She nods, eating slowly, making it last. Between bites, she says, "The water tasted funny yesterday. From the pump." I told Mom, but she said I was being fussy. I kneel in the mud, eye level with her. Funny how? Sweet. But like bad sweet. Like when the butcher's meat sits too long. The river smell. That's what she's describing. The same sweetness I noticed in the Thames mud. "Sarah," I say, "don't drink from that pump anymore, or any pump near here. Can you manage that?" "What should I drink then?" "Good question. The Thames is deadly. The wells are contaminated. The pumps are suspect. What's left?" "Boil water if you can," I tell her, though I know fuel costs money they don't have. "Or drink beer. It's safer." She nods again, finishes the bread and trudges back toward number 7, where her mother's body was carried out this morning. Where her brother Tom is trying to figure out how to pay for a burial they can't afford. I watch her go, this small girl who's lost everything in 24 hours, and feel anger building beneath my ribs. Anger at Fraser for his useless pamphlets. Anger at the city for letting the Thames become a sewer. Anger at whatever's in that water, killing people who only wanted a drink that tasted clean. But anger doesn't pay. Anger doesn't find food. I turn back to the river, to the wrong-colored mud, and get back to work. By September 4th, 14 houses on our street have reported cholera. 8 people are dead. The living move through Jacob's Island, like ghosts ourselves, afraid to touch, afraid to breathe too deeply. The air itself has become suspect. Fraser's miasma theory has taken root in minds desperate for explanation, any explanation, even one that offers no solution. I'm at the foreshore when I hear the screaming. It's 6:30 in the morning, tide just turned, and the sound carries across the water like a gull's cry. But human, breaking on the word no over and over, I abandon my search, 2 nails and some coal, meager findings, and run up the Waterman's stairs. Thomas Wickham, the carpenter from number 11, is dead. His wife Mary is the one screaming. He was 34 years old. Yesterday he was building a cabinet for a shop on Borough High Street. This morning he's gray-blue, evacuated, gone. I count the dead in my head. Mrs. Talbot, Ann Dobson, the housemaid from number 3, old Peter Marsh, the Cowell family's youngest, little James, only 4 years old, Thomas Wickham, 3 others whose names I knew but not well, 8 total from our immediate streets. But I hear the death cart making rounds in the wider neighborhood, the man calling, "Bring out your dead," in a voice so tired it's barely human anymore. How many across Southwark? Across Soho? How many has this thing killed? I see Jacob Harrow emerging from a sewer grate near Tooley Street. He's carrying a sack of findings. Toshers can make decent money if they survive the methane, the rats, the cave-ins. He sees me, waves me over. "Pip, listen close." His voice is gravelly, interrupted by coughs from lungs damaged by years of sewer gases. The Broad Street pump, the one near Golden Square. What about it? The well shaft's got a crack, big one, and the cesspit from number 40's right adjacent, maybe 3 feet away. You understand what I'm saying? I understand. The drinking water well and the human waste pit are separated by 3 feet of London soil, which is more gaps than solid, more passage than barrier. Raw sewage is leaking into the drinking water, I say slowly. Jacob nods. Has been for weeks, probably. But something changed recently. Maybe the crack widened. Maybe the cesspit's overfull. I don't know. But that pump's pulling in shit alongside water, and everyone who drinks from it is dying. Fraser says it's miasma. Bad air from decaying matter. Jacob spits. A brown stream of tobacco juice and phlegm. Fraser's an idiot. City's built on shit, always has been. Only difference is whether folks pretend otherwise. You tell people to stop using that pump, Pip. Tell them what I said. They won't listen to me. I'm 14 and I live in a cellar. Then find someone they will listen to. But who? Fraser dismisses anything that contradicts miasma theory. The Board of Health moves slower than the Thames at low tide. The Reverend's busy administering last rites to the dying. He's up to 12 a day now, I've heard. Who would believe a Toscher's theory relayed by a mudlark child? I'm thinking about this, standing in the street with Jacob, when I see a man I don't recognize. He's 40-ish, slim build, wire-rimmed spectacles, dark suit that's seen better days. He's carrying a notebook and what looks like a map, going door to door, talking to people. Not preaching, asking questions, writing down answers. Who's that? I asked Jacob. Don't know. Saw him yesterday too. Asks a lot about water. I make a decision. I walk up to the man who's currently interviewing Mrs. Hendricks from number 9. Her husband died yesterday. She's answering his questions in a monotone, shock still settling over her like frost. Excuse me, sir, I say when he's finished with Mrs. Hendricks. He turns, looks at me properly, not the glance adults usually give street children, dismissive or pitying, but actually seeing me. Yes? You're asking about the water? I am. My name is John Snow. I'm a physician investigating the cholera outbreak, and you are? Pip Ferris. I'm a mudlark. He adjusts his spectacles, considering this. You work the river daily? You've noticed changes? I wasn't expecting this. Wasn't expecting to be taken seriously. I stumble over my words. Yeah, the mud's wrong. Smells like death. Different color, greenish. And everyone who's sick, they all drink from the same pumps or live near the water. Snow's writing this down. Actually writing it down. In neat script I can read even upside down. Show me exactly where. And tell me, who drinks from which pumps? I pause. This is the moment where adults usually lose interest, where they remember I'm a child from Jacob's Island, not worth their time. But Snow's waiting, pen poised. You actually want to know? You see what I cannot, he says simply. Your observations may save lives. So I tell him everything. The Thames's wrong smell, starting August 31st. Mrs. Talbot drinking from Broad Street pump, dead within hours. Sarah's description of the water tasting sweet but wrong. Jacob Harrow's information about the cracked well shaft adjacent to the cesspit. The pattern of deaths, all near water sources, all within specific streets. Snow listens, doesn't interrupt. Just writes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When you say wrong smell, can you be more specific? How far is the Broad Street pump from the nearest sewer outlet? Do you know anyone who's fallen ill but doesn't use that pump? When I'm finished, he says, would you be willing to show me the pump and the sewer outlets nearby? I look at Jacob, who's been listening from a distance. He nods once. Yes, sir, I tell Snow. I'll show you. We walk to Golden Square, Snow and I, an odd pair, gentleman physician and mudlark child. It's a 20-minute walk, past streets that smell of sickness now, past houses with black cloth hung over doors signaling death inside. The death cart passes us twice. The Broad Street pump stands at the corner of Broad Street and Cambridge Street, An unremarkable public water source, cast iron, well-maintained. People are queuing for water even now. It's still considered the best pump in the area, clearer and better tasting than alternatives. They're still drinking from it, I say, horrified. They don't know, Snow replies quietly, and until I can prove it's the source, they won't believe me. He kneels by the pump, examines it closely, takes a sample of water in a glass vial he produces from his medical bag, holds it up to the light. The water looks clear, crystalline even. You'd never know it was poison. "Show me the sewer outlets," he says. I take him around the block, pointing out grates, explaining, as best I can from Jacob's descriptions, the underground layout. Snow's making sketches now, mapping the sewers in relation to the pump. He's completely focused, oblivious to the stares we're getting. A gentleman and a street urchin crouched in the gutter, discussing excrement flow. "The well's here," he marks on his map. "The cesspits, here, 3 feet apart, you said." That's what Jacob told me. He works the tunnels. Snow nods slowly. 3 feet of soil. Effectively nothing, and if the well shaft's cracked... He doesn't finish the sentence. Doesn't need to. A woman approaches the pump, bucket in hand. Snow stands abruptly. "Madam, I wouldn't advise..." She cuts him off. "I've been drinking from this pump 10 years, sir. It's the cleanest water in Soho. I have reason to believe it's contaminated. There's been a cholera outbreak." Dr. Fraser says cholera comes from bad air, not water. Now if you'll excuse me. She fills her bucket and leaves. Snow watches her go, frustration clear on his face despite his measured demeanor. "They won't listen," I say. "Not yet, but they will. I need more data, death records, locations, water sources for each victim. I need to map this outbreak comprehensively enough that the evidence becomes undeniable." He turns to me. "Pip, would you help me? You know this neighborhood. You know who lives where, who's fallen ill. I need that information." I think about Mrs. Talbot, about little Sarah, about Thomas Wickham and James Cowell and Ann Dobson and all the others, about the river's wrong smell and the mud's strange color and Fraser's useless pamphlets about burning sulfur. "Yes," I say, "I'll help." We spend the next 3 days, September 5th, 6th, 7th, going door to door. Snow interviews families of the dead, asks detailed questions about water sources, shopping habits, where they work, where they drink. I translate when needed, not language, but context. I know which families share pumps, which draw from wells, which are too poor to go far for water and use whatever's closest. Snow's map grows. Each death is a mark. Patterns emerge. The deaths cluster around the Broad Street pump like iron filings around a magnet. 73 deaths within 3 days, most within 250 yards of that single water source. But there are anomalies. A woman in Hampstead who died. Turns out she loved the Broad Street water so much she had her servant bring her bottles of it daily, even after moving away. A workhouse nearby with no deaths. They have their own well. A brewery on Broad Street with no deaths among workers. They drink beer from their own supply, not water. Every anomaly strengthens the pattern. It's not air, it's not miasma, it's the water. On September 7th evening, I'm helping Snow organize his data in a room he's rented near Soho Square. The table's covered with maps, charts, death records. He's been working 18-hour days, barely eating. His hands shake slightly when he writes now, from exhaustion or determination or both. "Pip," he says suddenly, "you're literate. Unusual for..." He trails off, realizing how that sounds. "For a mudlark? My mom taught me, before she died." "I'm sorry. Was it consumption? 3 years back?" He nods, returns to his maps, then, "Thank you for your help. Without your observations, I wouldn't have known where to look." I shrug, uncomfortable with gratitude. Just want it to stop. The dying. It will. Tomorrow I'm presenting my findings to the Board of Guardians. They have authority to remove the pump handle, stop people using it. And if they don't believe you? Snow looks at his map, at the constellation of death surrounding one point. Then more people will die. But the evidence is here. It's undeniable. I want to believe him. I want to believe that evidence matters, that data and careful observation can overcome established belief. But I've seen Fraser dismiss everything that contradicts my asthma theory. I've seen people queue at the Broad Street pump even as their neighbors die. I don't say this to Snow. He needs hope to keep working. We all do. That night back in number 4 cellar, I lie awake listening to the sounds of the sick in nearby houses, moaning, crying, the scrape of buckets being emptied, someone praying in a language I don't recognize, the death cart's wheels on cobblestones. I think about Snow's map, about patterns made visible, about how the city's been poisoning itself, how we've been drinking death from sources we trusted because they tasted clean. I think about the Thames, about my daily work in its polluted flow, and wonder if I've been slowly dying all along. Tomorrow is September 8th. Tomorrow Snow presents his findings. Tomorrow, maybe, the dying stops. Or tomorrow I join the map's constellation. Because tonight my stomach hurts. I wake on September 8th and cannot stand. My legs are water, my stomach a twisted rope. The cellar spins, its damp walls, its one window showing gray dawn, the sleeping bodies of the 3 families who share this space. Everything rotates slowly, like I'm on a ship. Though I've never been on a ship, only imagine them from stories. I need to vomit. I crawl to the bucket in the corner, the communal privy bucket which we empty twice daily into the nearest drain, and my body empties itself. Watery, white-flecked. The rice water stool I've seen pour from Mrs. Talbot, from Thomas Wickham, from all the dead. I'm dying. The thought arrives with strange clarity, factual rather than frightened. I'm 14 years old. I've survived 6 years as a mudlark, 3 years orphaned, countless winters that killed stronger children. But I won't survive this. Cholera mortality is 50–60%. Those who live are lucky or wealthy enough for proper care. I'm neither. Someone's shaking me. Mrs. Chen, one of the cellar sharers, speaking Cantonese I don't understand, then broken English. Sick? You sick? I nod. Try to speak. My mouth is dry as ash despite the vomiting. Water, I manage. She backs away. Of course she does. Cholera is contagious. Everyone knows that now, even if Fraser insists it's the air. She's got 3 children to protect. I don't blame her. I pull myself back to my corner, a space 3 feet by 5, marked by the flattened sack I sleep on. The cramps begin, my intestines twisting, wringing themselves out. I've seen this too, watched people contort from the pain. I bite down on my sleeve to keep from screaming. Hours pass. I can't track them properly. Time becomes elastic, stretching and compressing. I vomit again and again. My body's purging itself, trying to expel the poison, but the poison is already everywhere, in my blood, my organs, turning me inside out. I dream of the Thames, or maybe it's not dreaming. Maybe delirium is just another country you visit before dying. The river rises, swallowing Jacob's Island, swallowing Southwark, swallowing all of London. The water's brown-green, viscous, alive somehow. Mrs. Talbot's voice. I told you the water tasted funny. Little James Cowell's crying. Mama, Mama. The dead speaking through the water, their voices bubbling up from the Thames itself, because the river remembers everything London pours into it, waste and bodies and secrets and now cholera. Someone's lifting me, real hands, not river fingers. Jacob Harrow's voice. Christ, Pip, how long you been like this? I can't answer. My tongue's swollen, mouth too dry for words. Jacob's carrying me. I weigh nothing now, maybe 50 pounds, most of it bones, up the cellar stairs into daylight that sears my eyes. She needs a doctor, Jacob's saying to someone. Fraser won't come. Not to Jacob's Island. Not for a mudlark. What about that other one? Snow? He's at the board meeting, trying to get the pump handle removed. I'm shaking violently now, convulsing, my skin turning the blue-gray I've seen on corpses. This is what dying feels like. This is what Mrs. Talbot felt, and all the others, the constellation on Snow's map expanding to include me. The river's in my head now, flowing through my thoughts. I'm dissolving into it, becoming part of the current. The Thames has wanted me for 6 years. Every morning I've waded into its toxic flow. Now it's claiming me properly, from the inside. Time fractures. I'm in the cellar again, but also on the foreshore. I'm 14, but also the child I was at 8, first learning to mudlark. My mother's voice. Philippa, you've got to be smart. Smarter than the boys, smarter than the city. That's how you survive. But I wasn't smart enough, Mom. I didn't know. I didn't understand. The convulsions ease slightly. I'm lucid for a moment. Truly lucid, not fever dreaming. I'm lying in the street outside number 4. It's afternoon, maybe. The sun's position suggests 3 or 4 o'clock. Several people stand at a distance, watching, waiting to see if I'll need the death card. Sarah's there. She's crying, but quietly, like she's learned that crying doesn't help. She's holding something, Mrs. Talbot's handkerchief, the one she showed me days ago, the only possession she has left from her mother. A new voice. Pip, can you hear me? Snow's here. He's kneeling beside me, taking my pulse, his medical bag open. He pulls out a small bottle, laudanum probably, and tries to get me to drink. I can't swallow. My throat won't work properly. The board approved it, he's saying. They've removed the Broad Street pump handle. It's done. No one else can drink from it. Too late, I think. Too late for Mrs. Talbot, for Thomas Wickham, for the 73 others on your map. Too late for me. But maybe not too late for Sarah, for Tom, for the people still alive who might have drunk from that pump tomorrow, next week, next month. Maybe evidence does matter after all. Snow's mixing something in a cup. Water, salt, sugar, oral rehydration, though that term hasn't been invented yet. He's trying to get me to drink it, speaking in that measured, patient voice. Small sips, Pip, just small sips. Your body needs fluids. I manage a sip. It tastes like the ocean must taste. Salt and minerals and life. I keep it down. Another sip. My stomach rebels, but I force it to accept the liquid. Night falls. I'm still alive. This surprises me more than it should. The worst of the convulsions have passed, though I'm still evacuating, still losing fluids faster than I can replace them. Snow's been with me for hours, making me drink his salt sugar solution, monitoring my pulse, my breathing, my color. Jacob sits nearby, smoking a pipe, keeping watch. Sarah brought a blanket, threadbare, but warmer than nothing. Someone from one of the cellar families left a cup of broth, though they wouldn't come close enough to hand it over. Kindness at arm's length. By midnight, I can speak again. My voice is ragged, throat raw from vomiting, but functional. The pump, I whisper to Snow. It's really stopped. Handle removed this afternoon, 3 o'clock precisely. People were angry. They wanted their water. But the board saw the evidence, saw the pattern. How many dead? He pauses, then chooses honesty. 516, as of this evening. Most within 10 days. Most within 250 yards of the Broad Street pump. 516 people. I try to comprehend the number. That's everyone on my street, multiplied by 30. That's more people than I've known in my entire life. And you proved it, I say. You proved it was the water. We proved it. Your observations started the investigation, Pip. Without that, I wouldn't have known where to look. Will I die? I ask bluntly. Snow checks my pulse again, considers. Your symptoms are stabilizing. You're keeping fluids down. If you survive the night, your chances improve significantly. If. The word hangs between us like smoke. September 9th arrives. I'm still alive, still weak. My legs won't hold me. My arms shake when I try to lift anything, but alive. The blue-gray tint has faded from my skin. My eyes, Snow says, are less sunken. The outbreak is ending. Deaths have dropped from 70 per day to 30, then 20, then 10. By September 10th, new cases have nearly stopped. The Broad Street pump, its handle removed, stands silent. People grumble about the inconvenience, about having to walk farther for water, but they're walking. They're alive to complain. Fraser visits on September 11th. I'm sitting outside number 4, wrapped in Sarah's blanket, drinking broth that Jacob brought from somewhere. Fraser approaches cautiously, handkerchief still pressed to his nose. "You survived," he observes. "Yeah." Dr. Snow's theory about the water, it appears to have merit. The outbreaks ended since the pump was disabled. I look at him, really look at him, his expensive coat, his pomaded hair, his education and authority, and absolute certainty that my asthma theory was correct. 516 people died, I say quietly, because you wouldn't listen. Fraser stiffens. The miasma theory is well-established medical science. It's wrong. The water killed them. Snow proved it. We stare at each other. Him standing, me sitting. But somehow I'm the one with higher ground. He leaves without another word, handkerchief still protecting him from air that was never the problem. 3 weeks pass. I recover slowly. Cholera survivors often do if they recover at all. By early October, I'm mudlarking again, wading into the Thames at half tide, searching for findings. The river still smells wrong. That hasn't changed. London still pours its sewage into the same water it drinks from. The system that killed 516 people in 10 days is still intact, still waiting for the next outbreak. But something shifted. Snow's investigation has started conversations. The Board of Health is discussing sewer reforms. Parliament's considering a Metropolitan Commission of Sewers. The word waterborne appears in medical journals cautiously, as if both theories might somehow coexist. I see Sarah sometimes. She's in the workhouse now. Tom couldn't care for her on his wages. I visit when I can, bring her findings when I have extras. A ribbon, a button, small things that might make workhouse life slightly less terrible. She's thinner each time I see her, quieter. The girl who waved at me from the clothesline is fading into institutional gray.